meeting of the Retirement System Investment Commission for today, which is June 4th, 2026. We have an agenda in front of us. I'd like to call for a motion to approve and adopt that agenda, please. So, I have a motion and a second to adopt the amendment, to adopt the agenda. Easy for me to say. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like? We have an agenda. Okay, the next thing up, folks, is I hope you had a chance to read your April 16th, 2026 minutes. If you have, and we have no issues, I'd like to call for a motion to adopt those minutes as presented.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from the April 16th, 2026 meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise? Minutes are adopted. Next up on the agenda is the CEO's report. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hitchcock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think really kind of the crux of my report is a quick update legislatively. The only legislation impacting RSIC this year that is really moved forward is the state budget. We asked for, if everybody will remember, we asked for a $2 million authorization increase and to retain provisos that we've had previously in the budget. That was adopted in all versions of the budget. So, but the budget is still currently in conference. I hope that we will have a finished budget by July 1st. But just in case there isn't a completed budget by July 1st, the General Assembly did pass a continuing resolution, so all state agencies would be allowed to operate under the previous year's authorization. Obviously, that's less than what we asked for, but we feel confident that we would be able to manage until the General Assembly adopted a budget. So otherwise, we won't bring everybody in and introduce them, but it is summer, so we have a whole new crop of interns, a amazing group of young people that bring a significant amount of energy and enthusiasm to the organization during the summer. We even have an intern from the Citadel. So I know. So I hear that's a pretty good place to go to school. I don't know.
It works for some.
Yeah, it works for some. Works for some, not everybody. So, but otherwise, that is the. But like I said, we have a significant interest in our intern program. We get a number of applications that far exceeds the available spaces that we have, and certainly our human resource staff, Sally and Barbie Cresswell, are instrumental in that, and certainly appreciate all of their efforts. We do have another new face since our last commission meeting. Nathan Abernathy. He's our new attorney. He is taking over for Mitchell Goldsmith. He comes from the Supreme Court. So we're very excited to have him. He's been drinking from the fire hose for the past couple of months, but I think we can expect great things out of Mr. Abernathy. So, did I miss anybody? Okay, all right. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Next up is a report from our Chief Investment Officer, Mr. Moore. What do you have for us?
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to cover our March 31st, 2026 performance. Before I start, last meeting I talked about 3 questions that we're always trying to answer as part of how are we doing at the plan. And the first one is always going to be the plan continuing to perform well over time. Our cash flows and liquidity in a healthy place, and is our implementation continuing to add value? So as I go through today's presentation, I'm going to answer those questions for you all. And as a reminder, our objective isn't always to optimize to any quarter's performance or any fiscal year performance, but really, as we've talked about in the past, it's about those small advantages over time. Compounding over long periods of time is how we want to judge success for our portfolio. So starting with the first question, is the plan performing well over time? It is. Over the last 5 years, we've returned 8% versus 6.3% over the policy benchmark. So we make meaningfully great progress towards closing and improving our funded status. We have a really good line of sight here with that. In addition to that, our cash flows remain very healthy. We are benefiting from net positive contributions coming into the portfolio. We have ample liquidity obligations, fund we have opportunities. And lastly, our implementation continues to add value. For this fiscal year to date, Portable Alpha, one of our main ways of adding value at the portfolio level, has added $370 million of additional value to the portfolio. Portfolios within our policy ranges, and we'll discuss a little bit later as to just some of the short-term underperformance on the fiscal year to date. So moving into performance, the portfolio as of 3/31 was valued at $53.6 billion. I can tell you that number is significantly higher today, but we're talking about a few months ago.
There's a, if through April, it's like Pro, like this never even happened.
Yeah.
We're comfortably in the double digits after April. So.
Yeah. So the fiscal year, the portfolio returned 6%, roughly 6% relative to the benchmark of 6.7. So we're about 70 basis points behind our policy benchmark on the fiscal year to date basis. But as we zoom out the further years out, the 3-year, the 5-year, and the 10-year, you can see this excess return in value. I'm getting all screwed up here. So the value here, this number here, the 752, the $4.1 billion, and the $3.8 billion of value add, those are actual dollars added relative to the policy benchmark over those time periods. So on a long-term basis, we're performing exactly as we would want to see. And this is also shown here as we look out and zoom what the plan value has been over the past 10 years. We started the 10 years ago, it seems like such a long time ago, March 2016. Not sure what everyone was doing at that point, but plan value was less than $30 billion at that time. And today we're at over $50 billion. And the difference between the top blue line and the gray line is that value added over time. So again, those small incremental differences are things that we're trying to grow over time. Looking at asset class performance, our public equities, you can see on the fiscal year to date basis at the top, 8.4%, our top performer. And then as well as Portable Alpha, if you go all the way down to the bottom, is adding material amounts of value this fiscal year. The two areas where we have some relative weakness is in private equity as well as in real assets. And a few things that we're seeing there on private equity, we believe that's much more of a timing issue. We go back to March 31 of this past year, or for this period of time, we just had the Iran
War.
I don't know what conflict, the Iran conflict, kind of hitting the markets. So the markets are trying to figure that all out. And we've seen now public markets at all-time highs again. So what we would expect to see in our private equity portfolios for that to meaningfully start to participate alongside of that as multiples have improved and fundamentals and have improved. And on real assets, we talked about this a few months ago, but we had a benchmark change where there was an idiosyncratic event from a data center sale that pretty much a lag here, but we feel like fundamentally everything's looking good on real assets as well. So moving down to our attribution, the first one, we think about this as our attribution framework, but really what I want to call out is those 3 boxes in the middle. And I have on the right side, I'm starting to build this out as more of a reference slide so you understand like what each of those boxes are trying to measure. And the idea here is these boxes, they're meant to provide us with insight into how we construct our portfolio, but the tough thing to do is none of these boxes are going to behave the way you want them to at any point in time. They're all going to behave differently, but our belief in over a very long period of time that value will be created from each one of these boxes. So the value from diversification, so owning things other than stocks and bonds, do we believe that will add value over time? The answer is we believe it would. Quality of portfolio structure, do we believe that how we construct the portfolio through the use of things like Portable Alpha is going to add value over time. We believe that will. And then quality of manager selection is how we implement our portfolio. We believe that we're good at identifying manager talent and identifying that. So we believe that each one of these boxes over time will add value. And so this is just a helpful reference for us to monitor that over time. As we dig into the fiscal year, in terms of dollars of added value, I mentioned Portable Alpha at the beginning. This is one of our most blunt ways of adding value to the portfolio. If our Portable Alpha portfolio is adding value, it's additive to the portfolio. If we have losses in that portfolio, it's attractive to our portfolio or total return. And then I've talked about private equity and real assets, and believe a lot of that may be a little bit more temporary in nature. And then this is the same slide, but looking in basis points, there's a lot more nuance to this, but as a reminder, given where the plan value is today, each basis point is worth about $5 million. So there's a lot more detail to this, and happy to go into it if folks want to talk through any of those in specifics. So zooming out to the 3-year, and this is where we start thinking around how are we doing in the interim, and over that, how are we doing that adding value? So thinking about Portable Alpha again, $674 million of added value. Private equity is a little bit behind, but then you see real assets here, or the detractor on the fiscal year, been additive over the 3 years. So there's nothing here that screams out to me that we have any issues in our portfolio, and I believe some of this will be relatively temporary in nature. And moving on to risk, third question we always want to ask is our implementation adding value? Well, that's important, but it's also important to say, well, how much risk are we taking to add that value? So realized volatility here remains, if you look at the actual realized volatility versus the policy and the reference portfolio, is well below what the markets are providing us. So we are generating these results inside the risk framework that has been approved by the commission. So feel really good about how we're thinking about the portfolio and controlling the risk of this portfolio. And then moving on to our exposures, the portfolios within all of our policy ranges. Private markets at the bottom, the 31.3% is inside the 32% target. So we're slightly underweight there. So that gives us some ability to be able to grow some of our private market allocations over time as those opportunities arise. And there's no compliance issues for us to report. So the wrap up is the plan adding value over time, yes. Our cash flows and liquidity in a great position, yes. And is our implementation adding value, yes. So based on these long-term results, we believe the strategy will continue to behave as we would expect. Portfolio maintain is very well positioned for our long-term objectives. So this time I'd be happy to take any questions on.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Holly.
Can you give us a rough number, say the 1st of June, as to where we stand? Because I think by going at the end of March, we have a somewhat distorted picture of where we are.
Yeah.
So plan AUM is at over $57 billion today.
Yeah, through April, fiscal year to date return is 11.22%. We don't have May yet. So,
okay, that's okay. I just
yeah.
I hate to end it at that point when it was like ending at an unusual low.
Yeah, well, that's why it's like I was making the reference to April being like Serpro, like it never even happened. So
I wanted to hear a real number. That's good.
Yeah.
Interestingly, if you think about the 1-year number at that 331, so we had the Iran tariff or the Iran conflict this year. Go back 1 year, 331, 2025, we were in the ever increasing tariff war. So the markets there's been a lot of volatility and noise in the market. So for the portfolio to kind of be where it is today, we feel really, really good that we're still kind of within spitting distance of the policy benchmark, and that will turn to a positive by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, through April, the gaps closed significantly on the policy benchmark, and basically what's And the reason that I'm not necessarily being as specific is we don't usually talk about inter-quarter returns because they're not necessarily quote unquote statutorily official. But the gap is closed narrowly, a much narrow margin, and really all of the remaining underperformance or the fiscal year relative to the benchmark can be attributed to the change in the infrastructure benchmark. That would more than compensate for it. If we had the old real estate benchmark through April, we'd be slightly ahead of the benchmark.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Moore? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we are to proceed into executive session.
Oh, delegated.
Oh, I skipped over one. Sorry. Brian, the floor's still yours.
Sorry. This is our delegated investment report. So these have all been, the full diligence packets have been shared with the commissioners. They're happy to answer any questions that any folks may have, but excited about continuing partnerships with many of these managers.
Great.
All right.
Good.
Chairman?
Now,
Now, there we go.
Mike, how about read the motion for us to proceed into executive session, please?
A motion to proceed into executive session to discuss investment matters, including comprehensive reviews of the private equity and co-investment portfolio's performance, and the discussion of specific co-investment and private equity investments in certain portions of the consolidated annual investment plan and statement of investment objectives and policies pursuant to SEC Code Section 9-16-80 and 9-16-320 to discuss personnel matters and to receive advice from legal counsel pursuant to SEC Code Section 30-4-70A1 and 2.
May I have a motion? Second? I have a motion. I have a motion and a second to proceed into executive session. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of proceeding into executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? The ayes have it. I think we're in executive session now. We took no action in executive session, and so the last piece of business we have today is to leave. So may I have a motion to close down this meeting today? I have a motion. Second. I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of closing down the meeting for today, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed like? Ayes have it. Gambling us out. Thank you, everybody.